Mic check. If your business and your staff depend on you for every little thing, you don't yet have a business, you have a job. And the worst part is you're possibly being underpaid for that job. Welcome to this masterclass where I'm going to be teaching you how to strengthen your business by building and improving the key systems that allow you grow. The audience for this masterclass are African businesses, small and medium businesses operating mostly in Africa, okay? And I have seen so many businesses stay stuck on a level that they can do much better than because they are operating on vibes. They're taking it one day at a time instead of building solid structures that can really allow them scale. So we're going to do this in sections, and I will do my best to keep it short because I have a lot to say. And so for this, I want to start with why it matters. If you are still here at this point, 1 minute in, chances are you can relate to having a business, having staff, but still doing everything yourself and just being exhausted and upset that you're paying people, yet you still have to be involved in a lot of things. And then you have customers complaining. Oftentimes they want to work with just you and not members of your staff because they feel like they don't get the same level of service. So all day, every day, you're working morning till night. At the end of the day, you're exhausted. Yes, you're making money, but it feels like you have no freedom. The solution to this is to impute systems into the businesses, because this is going to save you time, ensure the standardization. It's going to allow you delegate, you can automate so that you can grow, so that you can implement all of those fantastic ideas that God has given to you. My name is Ella George. Over the last almost 11 years, I've worked almost strictly with small and mid-sized businesses, helping them develop strategies, helping them build stronger systems and stronger businesses that give them not just freedom to implement their ideas, but also freedom to just be and do other things. So today, I am hoping that I can help you see why systems really matter if you truly want to grow your business, and help you figure out how to fix some of the issues that have constantly recurred in your business. There are many businesses who stay stuck at a certain income level because they operate on a day-to-day basis. You know, we'll just take it as it comes. Ki sera sera, whatever it is that we call it, not structure. But I want to show you simple ways that you can fix that, because without structure, you can't sell your business, or you can't sell it for anything really valuable. Without structure, you're going to be very overwhelmed. Without structure, it's going to seem like you were spending all your days and your life for this business, and you're constantly questioning, should I really be doing this? It looks like I'm going to shut down by the end of this year. So if you're constantly telling yourself, maybe it's time to shut down, something is not quite right. And the reality is that even though, we can say it's true that structure takes time and money, we can also say it's true that you can start from where you are. And so if you find yourself doing all of the important work yourself, despite having staff that you have employed to do these things, if customers are constantly looking for just you to serve them, and when you're not there, they're calling and complaining, complaining about delays, complaining about substandard services, complaining about anything and everything. If with your business, there are months where there's enough cash to do anything, and there are months where there's just a lot of struggle and mental torture behind the scene. Some months are great, some months are terrible. If you are busy working even when you go on vacation, and you're constantly fighting with your spouse to drop your phone or drop your laptop, you can't spend time with your kids because you are neck deep in what it is that you do, despite having staff. Your solution is systems. Your solution is systems. You need to build or reinforce the systems that exist in your business. Because when you have these systems, it reduces stress on you. You can sleep. You can sleep like a baby. You can save time and money. You can improve efficiency such that you're able to do so much more for and with less. Structure will allow you delegate even to somebody that joined you two weeks ago. Structure will tell you where to automate. It would show you everything you need to put in place to grow. I worked with this lady who had a hairdressing salon in, one of the cities in Nigeria. And when we had looked at what was going on in the business, we did a back-end assessment, and we saw that she was spending an insane amount of time every day responding to customers on WhatsApp. She didn't have a proper booking system. She didn't have, there was just a lot of back and forth with everything that, a customer wanted. Whether it was a particular hairstyle, you would send 10 pictures, they would send you 20 pictures. You send 10 pictures, they'll send you 20 pictures, trying to decide what it is. And we looked at it, and of course, this is not efficient. This is an area where you're spending a lot of time and wasting money. And because of that, you're not able to take on a lot more clients. And so we set up a simple Google form, backed it up with some automated messages. She wasn't very tech savvy, so we didn't want to go heavy with. And in weeks of implementing this, she was already, getting better sleep and able to attend to a lot more customers. So sometimes it does not, I will keep saying this, it does not have to be complicated. You just need to think through it and then figure out how to make it better. Are you ready? In this section, I'm going to be talking about the core business systems that you need to strengthen. Now, this is going to be what can work for you regardless of the industry that you're in. So whether you're in, FMCGs, you're in manufacturing, you're in real estate, you're in fashion, you're in branding, you're a professional service provider, these are the core systems that, you should pay attention to. There are a lot more, but I'm just zooming in on what is pretty consistent for almost everyone. Now, the first I want to talk about is your workflow, the back-end operations. Here, the problem that many people often have is there's no clear process of doing things. You know how sometimes you go into a restaurant, and this has happened to me actually. You go into a restaurant, sometimes you make your order, you place your order, say what you want, and then you pay. And then go eat your food. And then other times you place the order, they'll bring the food to you, and then you eat, and when you're done, you'll pay. That feels very disorganized and chaotic. And I've just used the simple example that I observed somewhere, but the truth is there are many things that really have no clear processes, no step-by-step method or approach that we have. And so today, when you hire Kunle, he does it a certain way. Tomorrow, when you hire Martha, she does it another way. Now, the fix for this is you need to document the ideal process that you want to follow in your business. And it's on you as the business owner. This does not have to be complicated. It can even be a voice note that you record, the steps that you typically take. It can be, a paper where you just jot down the process that you take to get things done. And then you want to use checklists for your daily operations, those things that are done every day. Whether it's how you cook your jollof rice, Ghana versus Nigeria, whether it's how you cook or how you process customer orders or how you respond to customer complaints. Use a checklist for all the things that need to be done so that people don't skip. And then I want you to think of batching things together, right? Do you respond to messages at certain times of the day, for example, or is it every day? What should people expect from you when it comes to your delivery times? I want you to think about how you can estimate and give people an idea of what to expect. That always helps with customers. Next, I want you to really, really look at tools. I know it can be intimidating sometimes, but the truth is there are so many simple tools out there today. Whether you want to go as basic as Google Forms or, Google Docs. I don't know where my mind went for a minute, right? So wherever it is that you want to go, there are tools. There's Trello, there's HubSpot, so many fantastic CRMs. And you need to figure out how you can put technology into what you do, because it simplifies things. It makes life easy. Okay? There was a business we worked with one time. They were a fashion brand. And for this fashion brand, we had to figure out a way to reduce the time that they spent in doing back and forth with customers coming in for fitting, right? So it was the kind of fashion brand that do custom made wares. And the amount of time that was spent in just the back and forth, you do this and then they go and then they come back and something is not right, but then the person is not, too much. You can figure a process to follow for that. Let's talk about customer acquisition, sales. I have met so many businesses that are operating on grace. What I mean by that is, some of you have totally left your business at the mercy of word of mouth referrals or inconsistent social media posts, right? Perhaps you're even using a wrong platform. Where you're on Facebook, all of your customers are on Threads or Instagram, or you're spending all your days on Instagram and some of them are on LinkedIn, right? So it could be that you're using the wrong platform. It could be that you're inconsistent, or you're just relying on referrals. There is no structured approach that you have in your business to getting leads, nurturing them, and converting them. Many are guilty of this. And the way to fix it is to follow a very simple process where you ask yourself, how do people typically find me? How do they become aware that we exist? What makes them interested? How do they express that interest? When and how do they buy? What makes them stay back with us? If you think about these things that I mentioned, awareness, interest, purchase, retention, when you think about it, you will find out that there are things you can do. There are things within your control that you can do to move one person, a potential client, from one to the next step. And you can have a simple lead tracking system to monitor this. Even as simple as Google Docs or Excel. You can use it to track all of the inquiries that are coming in so that you can follow up effectively. We talk about leaving money on the table, and it's often because there is no systemized way of tracking and following up with the inquiries that you got. I was speaking to a client who put up something on stories just like a joke, and for some reason that story got 600 and something views. Thankfully, as part of it, he had written, do you love this? Do you want it? Or I don't remember the third option. And a good number had said they wanted it. As at the time we were having that conversation, thankfully the stories was still up, but he hadn't even reached those people. Imagine that. Look at all the money here. And as soon as he mentioned, I'm like, stop, quickly, go attend to them, respond to them. So you can have, like I said, simple tools like an Excel sheet or Google Doc that you can use to track the inquiries that are coming so that you can follow up effectively. Like I'm also remembering another catering business that kept losing potential clients because somebody would ask, come in and ask, oh, hi, do you do this kind of food? Are you available for August? And you say yes. Oh, okay. Can you handle up to 500? Yes. Okay. All right. I'll get back to you when I'm sure exactly what I want. And then they go. And somehow, no follow-up. No follow-up. You can create something that you go back to every Monday and Wednesday, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, depend on the volume of inquiries that you have. Send out WhatsApp messages. You can even automate some of them, right? Choose a day that you will dedicate to lead generation and sales effort. Don't just leave it to, when somebody when somebody makes inquiries or when somebody reaches out. Don't always wait for them to come to you. Okay? So that's what I want you to do for lead generation. The other area, this one is very important, very, very important, that I want to talk about is money, cash, finance. Excuse me, because a lot of us did not like math in school. We have this thing where we would just rather not know when it comes to money. And so if I ask you about how much you made last month or last year, I need to check. I can get back to you. What are your profit margins on average? Which products are your most profitable? Nella. And so you find this consistent problem of money coming in and just disappearing, because there's no plan. There's no way to track. Even if you're so small that you cannot hire an accountant or bookkeeper, there's some things that you can do to improve your money management. And that has to be a given, because if you've not been able to manage the little that you've been given, how then can you grow and scale? And so one of the first things I want you to do to fix this is to separate your business money from your personal money. If your business is not registered, register your business or just pick one account that you have. Many of us have multiple accounts. Or you can use a money wallet, right? But you need to put a tag on how much you earn so that you learn to respect your business funds, and it allows you, attend to opportunities when they arise. The second thing I want you to do is start tracking. Start tracking your income and expenses. Some people track income, they don't track expenses. You need to start tracking both. There are a ton of apps. Some are free, some are paid. Wave, there's QuickBooks, there's Bookkeepy. There's so many. Pick one, and you can get consistent. Even if you don't get it 100% the first week or the first month, keep trying. Track what comes in and what goes out so that you can make better decisions. I remember very clearly this bakery that we worked with some years ago. It's been a while. And when we were looking at, in the course of assessment, we're looking at some of the issues that had arisen, and there were money problems there. And, I was curious to ask, because the operations was not very large at the time. And so I was curious to ask how they set their prices. And it happened that they would look at what others around were selling. So imagine that they were now charging for a particular cake, maybe 30,000. And then we do the math for what actually goes into it. And it's like 29,000. Mind you, we've not accounted for electricity. We've not accounted for gas and the rest of it. So, of course, we had to review the cost, what was going into the pricing, labor, profit, all of that. And immediately, with full chest, she increased her rates. Of course, it didn't take a lot of months before they became profitable. Some of these things are not magic. It's just, having somebody else point your attention to where you need to look. Okay? But it starts with tracking. What you don't measure, you cannot improve. You need to know your key business numbers. When you watch shows like Dragon's Den and Shark Tank, you see how they grill entrepreneurs. Do you see how they grill them? Can you stand it? How many years would you need to prepare before you can do that? So we need to track, right? And then the other area I want to talk about is HR, people. Oftentimes you look at it and it feels like your staff are dense, like they're just slow, because, Ella, why do I have to say the same thing 100 times and somebody still doesn't get it? And this is a graduate. I understand. It's a problem that not just you are facing, many of us can relate. And so they make these mistakes that annoy you, sometimes cost you a ton of money. Of course, you get angry, let them go. Sometimes by themselves, they just leave after a few months, and then the cycle continues. You have to start the hiring process again. People present that they can do things they actually cannot do, tell all sorts of lies, use AI to prepare. And over time, you just lose trust. So, of course, you spend time doing everything yourself because you just can't trust people. Are you really going to grow that way? Or are you going to fix this? I hope you said you're going to fix it. So let me tell you what you're going to do. Number one, you need to work on the mindset. You need to take away that mindset that says when you train people, they're just going to leave. You have to train your staff properly. I've talked about recording videos of you doing what you do. I'm not saying don't have trade secrets, but there are a lot of things we hide that we don't have to. There are a lot of things we can train and coach people on so that they can do better. Train your staff with videos, with checklists, with processes, with standard operating procedures. Train them. And then the next thing is you need to clarify what it is you expect from them. There's so many times that people resume, there's no clear onboarding, there's no job description, there's no KPI, and all those things. You just tell yourself it's for big businesses. Not true. Not true. You can have, basic job descriptions. I often call KPIs, if you have a small team, think of it as just letting them know this is how I will judge you. At the end of the period, I'm not going to look at how pretty you are or if you share, a name with my child. I'm going to judge you based on this, this, and this. Let them be clear. And then you can periodically have those reviews where you are saying what worked well, what can be improved on. And the last thing I want to talk about is how you motivate your team, the remuneration. It is important that you ask yourself questions and don't just assume that because people are leaving, somebody just is paying them more, and I can't afford to pay that much. Money is important, but it's not always the reason that people leave. Oftentimes it's how they're treated. It's the working environment, how safe they feel at work. So you need to create a culture that makes people want to stay. You need to put in things, right? How we're going to reward those who have stayed, 10 years with us. How we're going to reward those who exceed their performance expectations. How we're going to do XYZ, right? Sometimes it could also be as simple as throwing in one day of work from home. And it just makes people a lot more excited, right? But you need to document, you need to think through first of all, and then document these things before you can effectively implement them. In this section, I'm going to be talking about how to strengthen the systems. And what I'm going to attempt to do is give you a step-by-step process that you can follow. So even if up till this point you've not been writing, this is the time that you need to write. Go get a pen, go get a notebook. You need to write down, because for me, every time I'm talking about the bridge method, I want it to be that you are ready to execute. All of these things does not end with knowledge alone. You have to be ready to do the work. So the first thing I want you to do here is identify where you have the biggest challenges, the biggest bottlenecks, the things that tend to break down the most, the areas where you waste a lot of time, the areas where you waste a lot of money, the things that make you shout or get upset. I had this client one time who would get upset and actually leave the office because things have just broken down. Beyond that, sit down and write. Feel free to pause this video and write, where are all of the places where things break down? Now, for each of these places, I want you to start with one. Start with one. Write down a simple process for getting that thing done. You can decide to stretch it into, a 10-step process. It does not have to be fancy. You don't need Canva and, fancy software apps. Those ones are good. And if you can, why not? But it can be simple and effective. And then the other thing I want you to do is introduce some simple tools. Google Docs, Google Forms, WhatsApp groups for managing certain customers, even how you many of you use WhatsApp for your businesses, I know. But are you really using those, like the labels, the groups, the tags? All of those things can simplify and make your life easy. And then when you have written down these processes, I want you to make time to train your staff. Train them on how to follow the process. They may not always do it the same way every time. And, sometimes people just are not in the mood and don't follow. But you should make sure that you write these things down or record them and then train your staff on exactly what you mean. If you find any areas where they're struggling, you can clarify, or you can even go back and improve or lengthen what it is that you had written. Okay, then you need to track and measure. If before, every time you make a particular thing, it would take 10 minutes. After you implement this, is it now taking 5 or 7 minutes? That's progress. But you need to know that it's also something that you continue to do, something that you continue to improve on. E, as an element of the bridge method, stands for evaluate and evolve, which means as you check, you improve. As you check, you evolve. As you check, you pivot. Okay. So I mean, in conclusion, what I would say is this: it might seem like a hard thing to do, to develop systems in your business, but it's not. I watched a video the other day that was talking about how everything is hard and you need to choose your heart. It's hard to follow God. It's hard to live a life without God. Choose your heart. It's hard to, be a good person because it feels like people are trampling on you. It's hard to be a bad person because it feels like nobody loves you. Everybody hates you. Choose your heart. Okay. But I do know that if growth is on your mind, if it is one of the things that you really want to achieve in your business, then you cannot help but make time for these things. Okay? Make time for these things. Look at the entire process that a customer goes through. From when they hear about you, how did they hear about you? How can I systemize that process? How did they make inquiries the first time they did? How can I systemize that process? How did they, choose what to buy? How did they make payments? Where can I automate? Where can I checklist? Where can I clarify things? What can I teach? What can I delegate? Okay. In the process of, preparing that customer's order, where do we typically have bottlenecks or make mistakes? How can we strengthen? How can we improve? And then follow the step I taught you, which is simply observe where the problem is. Do you have the solution? Do you know how to fix it? Even if other people in your business don't. If you have the solution, then you can either record yourself doing it or write it down very clearly. And then have somebody in your organization, even often I would tell my clients to get a cousin, a relative somewhere. Let the person try out what it is that you have written, and if they are able to follow the process, then kudos, you have just created or improved your system. And if they're not able to find out the areas where they struggled, how can you clarify the message? How can you communicate it in a way that is clearer and easier for them to understand, right? And then you train them on this. As things change, as you put in improvements, go back to the documents, go back to the videos, redo it again. There's no way you're not going to see improvement. I really hope that this helps. I would want you to leave your comments and let me know what stood out for you. I would also really, 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 really like to know which one you will implement starting today, as early as now, because I kept it simple, right? I did keep it simple. So what will you implement? Please leave a comment. If you have any questions, kindly ask. I'll be happy to answer. If you are not yet following the WhatsApp channel for the Bridge Method, I encourage you to do that, because we're going to ramp it up with execution. We're going to be sharing not just lessons and tips and all that. More importantly, we're going to be zooming in on certain tasks that we want to execute over the rest of the year. So yes, I encourage you to join us, and I look forward to seeing you in there. Thank you for attending. Thank you for being here. Leave your comments and see you later. Bye.